Hi everybody, welcome back to You Are Supreme Toys. Today we got a special video. We are going to go over the new reissued Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles giant figures. We had the giant turtle figures when I was a kid, early 90s. They were pretty amazing. I was walking through Walmart and spotted a couple of these guys on the shelf. I had no idea that they had been planned on re-releasing the giant turtles, and well, I was more than happy to pick them up because they look great. I went to Walmart and I only saw Leonardo and Michelangelo at the Walmart store, and I went to numerous other Walmarts trying to find Donatello and Raphael, and still all I could find was Leonardo and Michelangelo. So I go online and it seems like the distribution is split with the turtles. So I had to order Donatello and Raphael from Amazon. If there's one thing Playmates Toys is good at, it's reissuing toys that have been successful. And by that I mean reissuing the original 1980s and 90s Ninja Turtles. That seems to be the only thing they have going for them these days. They try to make new figures, and they just do not. They just don't. I don't. It's hard to explain. Their new stuff, their new turtle stuff, just doesn't capture the eye. It peg warms, and nobody's really interested because the collector quality of other brands like NECA and Super 7, and even Best Action, have been more drawing to the eye of the collector than the products that Playmates has been releasing so far, especially when it comes to their 2-packs, and they look awful. But anytime they've ever did reissues of the vintage figures, they fly off the shelves. These guys they look great. First off, the colors are all accurate to the characters. The packaging art is outstanding. I mean, they got this vintage style box art featuring all 4 turtles, and it just really harkens back to that time period. They have the vintage style backer with the mini comic explaining the origin, and it just really looks good. Now, the original giant turtles actually came in a giant window box, whereas this is a split open box. The originals came in the giant window box and were just tied into place. Originally, the first 4 turtles, Rocksteady and Bebop, were made for that line, and they expanded it into the movie turtles and a couple other here and there. These guys look great in the packaging. I don't intend to leave these guys in the package, so let's go ahead and pop a couple of these guys out and see what they look like. First impressions out of the box, you look at these guys and you're like, these are 1 for 1 exactly the same as the giant turtles I had as a kid. Now, I don't know how many people actually had the giant turtles, but I was fortunate enough to actually have a couple. And the first thing you'll realize if you actually have your giant turtles still is that they are not quite what they seem. And we'll bring in our original 1980, 90, what year did these come out? 89. Original 1989 giant turtles. Now these things are just amazing. Even today, these guys hold up so well in a lot of respects. Except for balance. They are very difficult to balance. We'll bring Don in here. And right off the bat, you'll notice there is a significant scale difference. They are not quite exactly the same. So, bring in our tape measure. And the new Donnie is about 12 1/4 inches tall. And the old Donnie is 13 1/4 inches tall. So, the originals are an entire inch taller than the new ones. You'll also notice there's a slight difference in the skin tone color. And you'll see that the belt on the original is a Velcro strap-on fake leather belt, whereas the new Donatello has the plastic rubbery belt which is glued into place and is non-removable. The articulation is 1-for-1. So if we bring Don in here, he has head rotation, shoulder rotation, wrist, hip, and knee. And this is 1-for-1 even with the vintage figures, the hip and rotation, all of it. But another thing you'll notice is the head sculpts. Donatello's head sculpt is drastically different than the one on this Donatello. And if you might have noticed, all 4 turtles have the same head sculpt on the new figures. It just so happens that it is the same head sculpt, or as close to a recreation of it, of the Raphael head from the original 89 line. So all 4 turtles have a Raph head instead of their independently sculpted heads from the vintage line. Now, that's kind of disappointing. I really wish they would have just given every figure a different head, because that would have been the only new tooling required other than the actual accessories and the belts. We compare the old Raph with the new Raph, and you can also see the scale difference as well as the skin color difference. I prefer the vintage skin color on the Raphael opposed to this lighter skin color on the new Raph for certain. I do not have Leo or Michelangelo, but these are the 2 original giant turtles I had growing up. Now, another major difference besides the scale and the absolute bulkiness, this is the thing, the taller you make something, the more robust it has to be as well. And these guys just look so much bigger next to the new ones because they're just fatter. They're just a fatter, thicker toy. I mean, the arms, look how big the arm is compared to the new arm. The legs, the feet, the heads, everything is just so much bigger on these vintage figures. So, and also, the new figures are more of a action figure plastic. This is a hard, sturdy plastic. It is pretty much like you would get with a giant action figure. Like, it's just solid plastic. The only thing that is soft plastic is the head, and it is still kind of firm. Whereas the vintage figures are this very squishy vinyl, soft vinyl plastic all the way around. Their entire body is just a softer plastic. It's not that squishy, but you definitely can feel, you know, I guess they wanted that if you smack your brother with this, it would hurt a lot less, but I don't remember that being the case. Also, the bottom of the feet are hollow on the new figures, whereas the vintage ones are closed up. Another feature are the accessories. Despite the scale difference, the accessories are actually interchangeable with the new figures. You could put the new weapons in the original figure hands if you wanted to. Say you have your vintage turtles still and you need some cheap accessory replacements. I would say that this is a good option to replace your accessories for your vintage figures. They fit in the hands well and they look good. So that's something to keep in mind if you're just looking to make your vintage turtles look a little bit better on the shelf. They are a little bit smaller than you probably would want them, but they look okay to me. As far as the new figures are concerned, the only differences between each figure is the accessories and the belts. You have the single belt and then you have the strapped belts. Other than that, from head to toe, same exact figure. I will point out a few flaws that I've found with these figures. Let's bring in Raph here. And you look at the nose and you'll see this prominent little rub mark on the nose. And that is prevalent with all four turtles to some degree. And that is because instead of the closed window box like the vintage figures came in, the new ones have that open top box. So as they're being shipped from the factory or from the retailer, the nose is hitting against the inside of the box and rubbing against the inside of the box. And you have this little rub mark. And I have not been able to polish that clean. I'm pretty sure that's just a failure that's going to be there. So if you're wanting that perfect looking turtle, you're going to have to probably dig around and look. And if you can only get Raph and Don from Amazon, you're probably just in a crapshoot to see if you get something that doesn't have a rub mark on the nose. Also, it bugs me, not so much from the front, because you don't really see it, but if you look at the top of the bandana, they did not paint the bandana all the way to the head, and they did it on the bottom too, so it's just bare on the top and bottom of the bandana. But this comes back to my point of them going back to the vintage look, as the vintage figures also do not have the bandana painted completely. I'm pretty sure this was just a cost covering measure at the time, as it's also prevalent on the back of the shells. You got to remember that these were being pumped out by the thousands, and they weren't very concerned about looks. Now, if you look at the new ones, the back and front turtle shell are two completely separate pieces of plastic, which are glued into place somehow. And that makes it look a little bit more aesthetic. I like it that way. Now, Raph and Don here are not my only two giant turtles that I had when I was a kid. Most of these were flea market finds at some point. I'm hoping that Playmates at some point reissues the movie turtles as well, because these guys were just phenomenal. I bet some of you are like, I didn't even know they made the giant movie turtles, and they did. They made quite a few of the giant movie turtles, like the originals. From neck to toe, they are the same sculpts, all except the head. So all four turtles had different head sculpts. If I bring in the original turtles, you can see the scale difference. They almost look like Micro Machine figures compared to these guys. And these are so tiny. I just really wish the new turtles had the different opposing head sculpts. Even these guys aren't one for one exactly the same sculpt from head to toe. There's differences in the feet and stuff like that. They did make a giant sports turtle too. I've got Basketball Don right there. Probably one of the better variants from the vintage line. And that is the biggest annoyance about the vintage soft vinyl giant turtles, is they like to topple over. They do not like to stand. So anyway, let's get all these guys out. I also have Leonardo from the TMT 3 movie with his samurai armor somewhere, but I can't get to him. Say Leonardo leads, and Donatello does machines. Raphael is cool but rude, and Michelangelo is a party dude. Regardless of the comparisons with the vintage figures, I think these guys are amazing. I fell in love with them as soon as I saw them on the shelf. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have these guys. I'm a big stickler for giantized characters and figures. My two master buddies. And they scale very well with these turtles. These are the giant-sized Masters of the Universe He-Man and Skeletor figures from Matty Collector back in the day. And they are the same scale as the turtles. They look great together. So I'm glad to have these guys meshed in. They just fit so well. And it makes me think I would have liked to had some vintage vinyl, soft vinyl He-Man and Skeletor figures from back in the day. But they never did anything like that. You cannot go wrong with these guys. If you love turtles, you'll love these. These are excellent if you've got little kids. These are great toys for little kids. I feel like the quality, I feel like these are going to last a long time with kids. They're very sturdy. They're very firm. The weapons aren't exactly, cheap. For $25 a piece, you might not be able to get too much value. You can get the Marvel Titan Heroes. They're about $10 a piece in roughly the same scale. I think they look great. They're going to look great on your shelf. If you want to play with your kids, get these. These are great for the kids. They're good, solid quality. They don't have small parts. You can bash them together. You can customize them. These are great figures to be for custom paint jobs. You can make them look nice and weathered if you want to. I do wish that Leonardo and Michelangelo at least came with a second weapon, because I'm always used to them carrying both weapons. Donatello's okay, because I always only had him carrying the one bow staff anyway. I'm glad that they gave Raph his size. I would have liked to have seen them implement the holsters on the belts so that he could have his sword on his back, or his nunchucks in the front, or his size in the front. If you're going to cherry pick your best turtle. You can't go wrong. As mentioned before, Leonardo and Michelangelo so far are exclusive at Walmart. Donatello and Raphael are exclusive at Amazon. I have not seen them at Target, though Target is carrying the reissued classic turtle toys and some of the newer Playmates stuff. But I have not seen the giant turtles there yet. They are staring into my soul with their grimacing smiles. I am UR Supreme Toys, and this has been an unboxing and review of the classic reissue 1989 Giant Ninja Turtles from Playmate Toys. Thank you so much for watching.